The arrival of Earth's dark matter warships, the universe, had always been a place of balance. For centuries, the Galactic Council, made up of representatives from the strongest and most advanced species in the galaxy, ruled over every corner of space. They ensured peace, prosperity, and control, keeping everything in check. No one could challenge their power. They had seen every possible threat and crushed it. Or so they thought. But Earth was different. A planet once thought to be insignificant, tucked away in a small corner of the galaxy, had spent centuries advancing in silence. While other civilizations had relied on known technologies, Earth's scientists had discovered something entirely new: dark matter. It was an energy so powerful, so mysterious, that no one had dared to experiment with it before, until now. On a cold morning, deep in the vast reaches of space, the Galactic Council received a strange transmission. At first, it seemed like just another unimportant signal, one of many that came and went unnoticed. But this one was different. It wasn't a request for help or a distress call. It wasn't a communication about trade or diplomacy. It was a declaration of something far more ominous. The Council quickly activated their monitoring systems to trace the origin of the signal. It came from Earth, a planet they had long underestimated. The message was short but chilling. We are no longer your allies. Prepare for what you are about to face. The Council's leaders laughed at first, dismissing the message as the work of a rogue faction on Earth, trying to stir up trouble. But as the hours passed, the laughter turned to confusion. The signal had triggered something that the Council's systems couldn't explain. An anomaly. Something was coming from Earth, and it was heading straight for the heart of the galaxy. Without warning, the sky above Earth's atmosphere began to change. The stars, once distant and comforting, began to flicker and distort. A massive, dark object appeared, slowly filling the sky, blocking out the light from distant suns. It was a fleet of warships, a sight unlike anything the galaxy had ever seen. These warships weren't like the ships the Council was familiar with. They didn't glow with the familiar blue and silver of most advanced civilizations. Instead, they pulsed with an eerie, dark energy. Their surfaces shimmered with black, jagged lines that seemed to stretch and shift, as if the ships themselves were alive. They were powered by dark matter, a source of energy so volatile and dangerous that no one had even considered the possibility of using it for war. The first warship, the largest of them all, loomed over the Earth like a shadow. It was massive, far larger than any ship the Galactic Council had ever created. It hovered silently, casting an unnatural darkness over the entire planet. No one on Earth knew what was coming. They had built these warships, yes, but they had no idea how much power they truly held. All they knew was that they had created something that would change the galaxy forever. As the fleet of dark matter warships approached, Earth's leaders remained calm. They had always been a peaceful people, striving to learn and grow, but deep down there was a feeling of dread, a sense that they had crossed a line. They had harnessed an energy that could either save or destroy them all, and now they were about to see the consequences of their actions. On the surface of Earth, panic began to spread. People looked up at the sky and saw the fleet growing larger by the minute. The world was in shock. But among the chaos, there was one group that understood what was happening. The scientists who had worked on the Dark Matter project knew the truth. These warships, powered by an energy they barely understood, were unstoppable. They could obliterate entire fleets with a single strike. And the Galactic Council, the most powerful force in the galaxy, had no defense against them. The Council, hearing the news of Earth's dark matter warships, immediately called an emergency session. The leaders, once so confident in their control over the galaxy, now sat in stunned silence. They had been blindsided. Earth, a planet they had always considered beneath them, had developed a weapon that could rival their greatest fleets. Desperation set in. The Council's fleet, composed of the finest ships the galaxy had ever seen, was quickly dispatched to intercept the Earth fleet. But as they approached Earth's space, they realized something even more terrifying. The warships weren't just hovering above Earth. They were moving toward the Galactic Council's capital, the very heart of their power, and they were coming fast. In the council chambers, panic began to spread. Some suggested they should retaliate immediately, launching their own fleets to attack Earth. Others argued for peace, hoping that the Earthlings would see reason. But deep down, everyone knew that they were facing something they hadn't prepared for. They were up against an unknown force with an unknown weapon, and for the first time in centuries, they didn't know what to do. The Galactic Council had always believed that they were the ultimate power in the galaxy, and nothing could challenge that. But now, as Earth's dark matter warships approached, they realized just how wrong they had been. The galaxy was about to change forever, and the Council would have to find a way to adapt or risk being destroyed. As the dark matter warships drew closer, the Council's leaders began to question everything they had known. Were they truly the rulers of the galaxy, or had they been living in a fantasy, blind to the rise of a new power? Only time would tell. But one thing was certain. Earth had just unleashed a force that would leave the Galactic Council helpless, and the galaxy would never be the same again. Galactic Council's response: fear and strategy. As the dark matter warships from Earth continued their slow but unstoppable advance toward the heart of the galaxy, the Galactic Council's leaders were in a state of panic. For the first time in centuries, they were unsure of what to do. The fleet from Earth had left their strongest ships in ruin, and their technology seemed to defy everything they knew about physics. This wasn't just another rebellion. This was an existential threat. The very existence of the Galactic Council was at stake. The Council's meeting room was filled with tension. Representatives from all corners of the galaxy stood in stunned silence, the weight of the situation pressing down on them. They were used to controlling every situation, using their fleets and vast resources to crush any threat. But nothing could have prepared them for Earth's dark matter warships. The ships were not just powerful, they were beyond anything the Council could comprehend. How could we have been so blind? The voice of Lord Elzar, a respected leader from the species, broke the silence. We were so focused on our own dominance that we failed to notice Earth's potential, and now they're here. A deep sense of regret swept over the room. For years, Earth had been regarded as little more than a backwater planet, a place of primitive technology. The Council had never taken the time to understand the humans, and now they were paying the price. They had underestimated the ingenuity of a species that had been quietly developing technologies far beyond what the galaxy believed was possible. Options. The voice of Supreme Commander Kale, the head of the Council's military forces, was cold and calculated. He knew they had to act quickly. We cannot afford hesitation. These ships must be destroyed before they reach the capital. The room fell silent once again. Every member of the Council understood the gravity of Kale's words. Earth's dark matter warships were closing in, and if they reached the Galactic Council's capital, it would be their end. Kale turned to his advisors. Ready the fleet, all of it. Prepare for a full assault. The military forces of the Council were vast. They had fleets stationed across the galaxy, from the farthest reaches to the most central points. But no matter how large their armadas were, nothing seemed to matter. The dark matter warships from Earth were unlike anything they had faced before. They were faster, more agile, and more destructive than anything the Council's military could field. The first wave of ships, powerful dreadnoughts armed with plasma cannons and missile systems, was dispatched immediately. Their mission was clear: intercept the Earth fleet and stop them before they could reach the capital. But as the ships approached Earth's warships, they were met with a horrifying sight. The Earth warships didn't even seem to engage at first. They floated ominously in space, their dark matter engines humming with eerie energy. It was as if they were waiting. And then, without warning, the first shot was fired. A single blast of pure dark energy exploded from the largest warship, tearing through the dreadnought's shields like paper. The blast seemed to distort space itself, and the Council's ship disintegrated instantly, not even leaving behind a trace of debris. The remaining ships scattered, trying to avoid the deadly beam, but it was futile. One by one, the Earth warships unleashed their devastating energy, effortlessly obliterating everything in their path. The Council's military was being torn apart, unable to defend themselves against an enemy that defied every law of warfare they knew. Back in the Council chambers, a sense of helplessness had taken over. Their greatest weapon, the military might of the galaxy, was useless against Earth's new technology. Each wave of their fleets was destroyed within minutes, leaving the Council members staring at their monitors in disbelief. "I told you we should have acted sooner," Lady Seraphine, a high-ranking diplomat from the Akari species, hissed. Her sharp reptilian eyes glared at the others. "Now, we have only one choice left. What do you suggest?" Kale's voice was sharp, but there was a hint of desperation in it. The Supreme Commander was a man of action, but even he knew that nothing they had tried so far had worked. "We have to make them an offer," Seraphine said coldly. "We must appeal to their leaders. Perhaps they are not as ruthless as we think. Perhaps there is a way to negotiate with them before they destroy us completely." "Negotiate?" Kale's voice was tinged with disbelief. "After what they've done to our fleets, you want to negotiate? I don't see another choice." Seraphine's tone softened. "The more we fight, the more we lose. We may have to sacrifice our pride to save the galaxy." The Council members exchanged uneasy glances. For years, they had ruled with absolute authority, crushing rebellions and silencing anyone who dared to challenge them. Now, they were faced with an enemy who didn't care about their authority. Earth had taken its place in the galaxy, and the Council's time at the top was running out. A message was sent to Earth's warships, a plea for peace, a desperate attempt to open negotiations before it was too late. The response, however, was swift and chilling. The message came through clear and simple: "We don't negotiate with tyrants." The Council had no choice but to prepare for the worst. The dark matter warships had proven that Earth's forces were unstoppable. They had already shown that they were willing to fight, and they weren't about to stop. The Galactic Council's attempt at diplomacy had failed. There would be no more negotiating now. There was only one option left: survival. The Council's leaders could only hope that their remaining forces would be enough to stand up against Earth's wrath as the dark matter warships continued their journey toward the Galactic Council's capital. The Council prepared for one final stand, The fate of the galaxy rested on a single question. Could the Council stop Earth's unstoppable advance, or had their time finally come to an end? Earth's strategy, the dark matter secret, the Galactic Council was on the brink. Their last chance at survival rested on the shoulders of their final fleet, their strongest, most advanced ships. But even as they scrambled to prepare for what was coming, they knew deep down that the balance had shifted. The galaxy had just witnessed the emergence of a power unlike anything they had ever seen, and this power was from Earth, while the Council's representatives were busy debating their next move. Back on Earth, the real story was unfolding. Humanity had created the dark matter warships in secret, far beyond the watchful eyes of the galaxy's most powerful leaders. For years, Earth's top scientists had quietly worked to harness the mysterious substance known as dark matter, an energy source that was far more powerful than anything they could have imagined. On Earth's surface, no one had realized the true scale of the project, except for a select few. Scientists, military leaders, and a handful of key figures were in the know. But the rest of the world remained blissfully unaware. The warships were not just the result of human ingenuity. They were the product of a relentless determination to break free from the constraints that had held them back for so long. Humanity was done being the underdog, done being the species others overlooked. And now, the galaxy was about to feel the full weight of that decision. In secret laboratories, hidden beneath the Earth's surface, the final touches were being added to the dark matter warships. These ships were powered by a singular source, dark matter itself. The energy was unstable, difficult to control, and potentially deadly. But humanity had figured out a way to stabilize it, using advanced techniques that had never been attempted before. Dr. Elise Raven, the lead scientist behind the project, stood in front of a massive display screen in the underground facility. Her eyes focused on the data streaming across the screen. The dark matter cores, the heart of the warships, pulsed with energy. Their power output was staggering enough to obliterate anything in their path. It was a breakthrough, but it was also terrifying. She knew what it meant. Earth had just become a superpower, one capable of changing the balance of the entire galaxy. How long until we're ready to deploy the full fleet? General Marcus Holbrook asked, his voice thick with anticipation and concern. We're already there, Dr. Raven replied, her voice steady but with an edge of uncertainty. The warships are fully operational. The dark matter cores are stable. The energy is ... more than we imagined. But the risk of losing control is always present. Holbrook nodded grimly. Then we take that risk. It's too late to turn back now. The galaxy has underestimated us for far too long. As the final adjustments were made to the warships, Earth's leaders began preparing for their next move. There was no going back now. The Galactic Council had issued a warning, but it had fallen on deaf ears. Now Earth was ready to send a message of its own. Dr. Raven knew that humanity's greatest weapon was not just its ships or the dark matter powering them. It was the will of the people. The very core of Earth's existence had been shaped by struggles to survive, to thrive, and to rise above. The warships were not just machines. They were symbols of what humanity had become. The fleet moved toward the outer edges of Earth's atmosphere, their engines humming with power. On board each ship, the crew was prepared for what lay ahead. They were not soldiers in the traditional sense. They were engineers, scientists, and civilians who had been chosen for their ability to understand the technology that powered the ships. Now they were the protectors of Earth's future. As Earth's warships broke free from the atmosphere, the Galactic Council's response came in the form of another massive fleet. But this time, something was different. The Council's ships, once the most powerful in the galaxy, now seemed inadequate. They had the numbers, but they lacked the edge. They lacked the one thing that could turn the tide of battle: knowledge of dark matter. Technology. The first engagement was swift. The Galactic Fleet, unprepared for the dark matter weaponry, suffered devastating losses. Every strike from Earth's ships was precise, every shot calculated. The dark matter energy didn't just destroy ships, it warped the very space around them, distorting reality itself. The Council's ships were torn apart, not just by force, but by the very fabric of the universe being twisted. The first wave of Council ships was decimated within minutes. The remaining fleet scattered, but they were no match for the dark matter warships. Earth's power was unstoppable, and with every passing moment, the Galactic Council's grip on the galaxy weakened. From the Council's command center, the situation was bleak. The generals and leaders of the fleet watched in horror as their once proud ships were wiped out. "This cannot be happening," one of the commanders muttered, staring at the screen in disbelief. "We've never faced anything like this. We've underestimated them." The dark matter warships didn't just attack, they made a statement. They were proof that humanity had risen beyond the limits that had once confined them. And with each victory, they sent a message to the rest of the galaxy. Earth was no longer the weakling. Earth was a force to be reckoned with. The final battle had begun, and Earth, with its dark matter warships, was ready to claim its place in the galaxy, no matter the cost. The Galactic Council's once unstoppable empire was now nothing more than a crumbling relic of the past. The final showdown. Will the Galactic Council fall? The galaxy was no longer the same. The Galactic Council, once the undisputed rulers of the cosmos, now found themselves at the mercy of a force they could neither understand nor control. The dark matter warships from Earth, with their unimaginable power, had crushed everything the Council had thrown at them. No more plans, no more strategies, no more alliances could save them. The time had come for a final, decisive battle. At the Council's capital, panic had set in. The once pristine halls of power now felt cold and empty. Their leaders trapped within them, staring at the monitors showing Earth's unstoppable advance. The dark matter warships, each a harbinger of destruction, hovered just outside the Council's defenses. It was only a matter of time before they reached the planet. Inside the central command room, Supreme Commander Kale stood at the front of the room, his hands clasped behind his back, eyes fixed on the holographic display. His normally calm and confident demeanor had evaporated, replaced with a rare uncertainty. The situation had spiraled out of control so quickly that even he could not predict the outcome. "We failed," Kale said quietly, breaking the heavy silence in the room. "We underestimated them, and now Earth's warships are at our doorstep." Lord Elzar, the Astara leader, stepped forward, his reptilian eyes narrowed in thought. "There must be a way. We cannot let them take control. We must find a solution, a weapon, anything to turn the tide." "But there is no weapon," Kale responded, the harsh reality of their situation sinking in. "We've tried everything. These ships are unlike anything we've faced before. We can't even scratch their shields." Elzar's eyes glowed with a cold fire. "Then we'll have to find another way through diplomacy, negotiation, anything. Earth has to see reason. There is still time." But as the words left Elzar's mouth, A new message blinked onto the central display. A transmission from Earth. "We are here," the message began, cold and resolute. "We are not here to negotiate. We are here to take what is ours." The room went silent. The words hung in the air like an execution sentence. Kale looked at the message again. "They want control, but not just of us, of a galaxy itself." The message continued. "You've had your time. We've watched you, studied you, and we've seen your flaws. You call yourselves the rulers of the galaxy, but you've only ruled through fear and domination. Now, humanity has risen. We are not your servants. We are not your tools. We are a new power, and we will forge our own path, whether you accept it or not." The final words of the message were chilling. This is the beginning of the end. Collective shudder passed through the room. They had no choice. If the Galactic Council did not act now, everything they had built over centuries would be destroyed in a matter of hours. The Council's fleet had already been obliterated, and their best minds couldn't comprehend a way to fight back against Earth's warships. There was no escape, no negotiation, no victory, just the harsh reality of being outmatched. As the dark matter warships drew closer to the capital, Earth's fleet sent one final, devastating transmission. Each ship, each dark matter vessel, began to converge on the planet's surface. Their engines hummed, a low, foreboding sound that seemed to reverberate through the very fabric of space. Supreme Commander Kale, his back straight with the weight of failure, turned toward the holographic display. The ships were nearly within firing range. He had no idea how this would end. "What do we do?" one of the younger commanders asked, voice trembling with fear. Kale paused, then slowly looked up. "We do nothing. It's over. We cannot fight. This, we never could." But as the first warship began to descend from the darkened sky, a strange shift took place. The dark matter energy that had powered Earth's fleet suddenly intensified. The ship's pulsing cores, which had once been stable, began to surge with an almost unnatural energy. It was as if the warships themselves were alive, feeding off the chaos of the moment. "What is happening?" Lord Elzar demanded, his eyes wide with fear. The ground beneath their feet shook, and the room's lights flickered. The dark matter warships had not just come to conquer, they had come to claim the galaxy's energy as their own. It wasn't long before the first strike hit. The ground cracked open as the dark matter warships unleashed their energy in an explosion of force, unlike anything the galaxy had seen before. It wasn't just the Council's defenses that were crumbling. The very structure of the planet's core seemed to shift, pulling apart under the weight of the dark matter weapons. The Council's leaders watched in horror as their home, their power, their entire existence began to dissolve before their eyes. There was no escape, no more soldiers, no more fleets. The destruction was swift, unrelenting. The warships had come not just to fight, they had come to reshape the galaxy in Earth's image. A galaxy where humanity would rule, not through diplomacy or force, but through sheer, unstoppable will. The final blow was struck as the last of the Galactic Council's capital buildings crumbled, their once proud structures reduced to rubble. And as the dust settled, a single message was broadcast across the galaxy. "We have arrived, and the galaxy will now bow to humanity." The universe had changed, and Earth had risen. The Galactic Council had fallen,